thank you, Micah Kellner, for hosting these hearings. This is really, really important so that the citizens of New York can have a voice, because we're not being heard in the local level. Thank you, Joan Millman, for being here, and thank you, Sam Roberts. And I also really want to express appreciation to Letitia James. Is she still here? And Councilman Levin. We really applaud Letitia James's courage and standing up and for the libraries, as well as Stephen Levin. They have both spoken at our meetings. We have meetings on a regular basis, and even Letitia James even spoke at one of our rallies.
Millman Montgomery.
And we also very much appreciate Millman Montgomery, who also has spoken with one of our Citizens Defending Libraries meetings. So I'm here to help shine a light on what's happening to our libraries and what we are not being told and what you're not being told. And first of all, I'm kind of curious to find out, because this is a public meeting and we have so many people here, over 100, who've shown up today to testify and to talk about libraries. I'm wondering, is there anybody here from the BPL leadership or NYPL leadership here listening to us right now?
I would actually like to point out that the president of NYPL has stayed the entire hearing.
Okay.
He's sitting
I'm
right
glad
there.
to see that. Thank you very much. Because I did notice that the BPL leadership exited in the middle of Senator Montgomery, so I appreciate that. We're here to shine a light on what's happening, and I want you to know that I'm not a librarian. I'm not a hedge fund manager, private equity manager, or real estate developer, but I am a therapist and a concerned citizen, and I could not continue to watch these sacred spaces be exploited and the librarians devalued in the process. I became aware of the attempts to close and sell our neighborhood library, the Brooklyn Heights Library, at the end of January. I had a meeting that I went to at this library where a former real estate person, Josh Nakowitz, who now works for the library, the BPL system, who was here giving information to Linda Johnson, announced that the branch would be sold and sold off to a private developer, and that developer would be allowed to tear it down and build a luxury high-rise in its place. I will tell you that about 50 or so many people who were in at that meeting were gasping. We said things like, "This is sad and tragic. This is," I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. And a group of us lingered and were talking about how sad and terrible it was, and so a reporter said, "Well, are you guys going to start a group?" And so afterwards, I was so shocked and dismayed, I couldn't do anything for about a week. But then after a week, because nobody else stepped into doing it, I said I did. And so we started a petition on signon.org. Please sign our petition. It's on you can Google Citizens Defending Libraries. And our petition started in February. That's not very long ago. These people have been working on selling these real estate deals since at least 2008. We started in February, and we have over 12,000 signatures. And we continue to grow, and we will continue to grow to increase the voice of the public in this process, because the public keeps getting shut out. It's interesting to note that the Brooklyn Heights Library is one of the ones that they have identified as a library that they want to sell. If this was really being done for the good of the public, they would not be picking the one library that is the most well-used library in Brooklyn, apart from perhaps the main library in Brooklyn, although on a per-hour basis I would even wonder that. About 500,000 people use this library, and we've been interviewing people who come in and out of this library. This library is a very, very well-used library. People come from all over Brooklyn to use this library. People come from Manhattan, come from the Bronx. I bet a bunch of people here today have been to this library. Why? Because not only because it has or had great staff, and so they started moving them out, but it is right at a center of all the major subway lines and the bus lines. Yeah. So it's interesting that Mark's mentioned that, or Linda Johnson mentioned that BAM South is going to be at a transit hub, and that's why that's an asset to have that library there. Is anybody hearing this? So why are they selling a library that is at an equal transit hub? It doesn't make sense, right? Furthermore, the Brooklyn Heights Library is the only library that is accessible from subway to street level by elevator service. This library serves the handicapped. They're talking about moving the business and career services out of that library and into the Grand Army Plaza Library, where there is one subway line that's conveniently located and one bus line that's conveniently located. And from people that we have spoken with who come in and out of the Brooklyn Heights Library and who live closer to that library say to me they prefer the Brooklyn Heights Library because of the better access by subway and the elevator service. And when you hear Linda Johnson say that it's going to cost $4.5 million to fix an air conditioner, I mean, does anybody have common sense here? The original figure that they put out for fixing the air conditioner was a few $100,000, and there were offers to help pay for that air conditioner that were not taken. And instead, every time somebody would move towards helping, they increased the price tag. They increased it, they told a friends group it would be about $700,000. Then they increased it to $3.5 million. And now at the most recent Community Advisory Committee meeting, they announced that it's going to cost over $4 million. And they said that that's partly because the computers generate so much heat. Now, it's almost laughable, right? I mean, so if we are supposed to trust the leadership and trust them with the numbers that they're giving us about the overall capital expenditures, this is not credible. So we will continue this process, and we ask for some greater transparency. We ask for an independent assessment of the cost of fixing the air conditioner of the Brooklyn Heights Library and of all the capital expenditures that they are putting forth. And we ask for a halt of the sale of any of these libraries, because if you can't trust those numbers, why would you possibly trust the other numbers? We need to halt the sale of all of these libraries until we have a leadership in place at the NYPL and the BPL that is trustworthy.
Thank you, Ms. McIntyre. Mr. White, is there anything you'd like to add?
I also like to just reiterate, maybe this is a time saver on behalf of all of the citizens defending libraries, our thanks that Carolyn expressed to you, Assemblyman Kellner, and Assemblymember Roberts, and our own Assemblyman Millman. People are shocked when they find out that the library administration officials are selling libraries, shrinking the library system, and that libraries are being deliberately underfunded to create real estate deals for the benefit of developers, not the public. Who would have thought to sell off libraries when usage is way up? And how can you defend yourself against those who would think to do so? The public is mostly still just finding out about these plans. Most of the plan to sell libraries is not yet fully unveiled, or has been done so quietly that the public hasn't yet found out about it. How many people know that most of CIBL, the science and business industry, business library, built at a cost to the public of $100 million in 1996, has been sold for a mere $60.8 million. That sale, part of the consolidating shrinkage of the central library plan involving 3 Manhattan libraries, 4 if you count Donnell, as you probably should, is only part of what's happening overall. Despite the public's disapproval, the Brooklyn Public Library is plowing ahead with its plan to sell the Brooklyn Heights Library, closely replicating the unpopular sale for shrinkage of Manhattan's Donnell Library, which was closed for shrinkage in 2008 to be replaced by a 50-story building, a luxury hotel and condominium. The Donnell sale netted the NYPL only $39 million. If you want to know what may be in store when plans like this are not transparent, direct your attention to what those plan makers do first and what they do when they can do things in secret. Look at the top-down plotted Donnell sale, shrinking the library down to less than one-third, from 97,000 square feet to 28,000 square feet, where it will be mostly underground and sadly bookless, demolishing that 5-story building that was recently the beneficiary of publicly paid-for renovations. 15% of the building was the extensively renovated media center paid for by the city and by the state. In addition, there was the capacious and beautiful, by the way, separately air-conditioned auditorium, and the new teen center. That 15% renovation included entirely new air conditioning for that part of the building. So the same people who brought us Donnell say that they consider it a model for what to do with the other libraries in the future. And they are now in charge of the fire sale to sell Mid-Manhattan and Sybil to destroy the research stacks at the fabled 42nd Street Reference Library. All of the Brooklyn Public Library's real estate is up for leveraging according to its strategic plan, despite what Linda Johnson said here today about we have no plans to sell other libraries at this time. So we're looking at similar deals going forward, not just Brooklyn Heights and Pacific Libraries. They are selling the most valuable real estate first. Libraries represent the best of our democracy. To sell them off in deals benefiting a few at the expense of the many is democracy's antithesis. We are starving our libraries out of existence, but keeping them would cost a relative pittance and reflect the public's true priorities. If we can't stop the developer-driven sell-off of libraries, we won't be able to stop any transfers of public resources for private, not public benefit. My testimony also supplies links to a number of articles that I hope people have been reading about these subjects. That's what I wanted to do to keep it down to 3 minutes. I could comment on some of the things that President Marks said that I heard him say.
We have a lot. I appreciate it, Mr. White. We have a lot of speakers still to go, and I thank you guys for sitting here, being patient, and for your testimony. So, thank you very much.
And I'd like to thank you both for your advocacy for our Brooklyn Heights branch, and we win that, and some other communities may need your help as well.
Thank you. Yes.